Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Lyceum Weekly Update number 5 for the week of January 13th, 2013. I kind of woke up late, so I had to record this quickly. That's why my hair's all still wet. The continuity of this video is going to be terrible because I recorded the news part on Friday, so I'm going to have less of a beard and more dry hair. And for launches, starting Monday, tonight, there's a jazz pop album launch happening at Venue 505. That's coming from Nina Gero from UK. On Thursday, there's an indie pop single launch. That's happening at the Valve Bar from the Wild Bloods. A fair few launches on Friday, starting with an electronica indie pop EP launch that's happening at the Oxford Art Factory from Snackadactyl. And then there's a Jazz World album launch happening at the Standard from Babylon Circus from France. Then a rock album launch at Valve Bar from Hidden Venture. And finally, there's a book launch at Valve Bar that's happening with some punk rock bands. The book is called Underneath the Stairwell. And the last bunch of launches coming on Saturday, we have alternative folk rock and roll single launch that's happening at the Factory Theatre with Ranger Spacey. And then an alternative punk album launch at the Red Rattler Theatre from Primitive Calculators. And then finally, a punk double single launch happening at Valve Bar from the Cujo Kings and the Quarters. And for some gigs of interest, City Slickers are having their grand final at the Valve Bar. They're usually full of rock, pop, all kinds of genres. And the Jazz Groove Summer Festival, just full of jazz, happening from Thursday going through to Sunday. And it's at Foundry 616 in Ultimo, as well as Venue 505 in Surrey Hills. And moving on to some news, we're going to start off with an article about Melbourne. I know that this is all focused on Sydney, but it was funny enough that in the article it was stated that if this problem persists in Melbourne, the music live scene will move to Sydney. Yay! Apparently Melbourne venues are suffering a similar fate that Sydney had been dealing with in ways of noise complaints. One of the reasons being Melbourne's growing population. It means that people are moving in next to venues, and since there's more people, there are more complaints and more people who don't want the venues. And Melbourne do not have laws to stop that kind of thing, whereas Sydney just recently sorted that stuff out by having the Good Neighbour policy, I believe it was called, which meant that noise complaints cannot lead directly to fines when it is a music venue. Since that article coming out though, there's been talk about legislation coming in to fix those problems in Melbourne. At the moment though, it seems to be a lot of more political jest and just sort of saying like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, totally. So nobody knows if it's actually going to happen or not, or how quickly it's going to come in if it does. And also we're going to be putting pretty much 3 articles into one because they all cover the exact same thing, being Australian artists making it overseas. There's been a very big push in the last year and now going into this year of Australian artists that are really cracking into the overseas market. And not only breaking in overseas, but getting popular just in Australia and being noticed by the public in Australia. Starting from Rage, their top 50 music videos of 2013, which was all viewer based, so viewer polls, public opinion, what they thought were the best music videos of 2013, what they liked watching. Of that top 50, there were a nice chunk of Australian artists in there for their videos. These artists include, coming in at number 1 was Birds of Tokyo, at number 6 was Carnival, number 7, Dead Letter Circus, number 10, Vance Joy, number 13, the collaboration between Flume and Chet Faker, number 14, Tame Impala, number 17, Kingswood, number 24, Violent Soho, number 27, The Paper Kites, number 34, Cut Copy, number 48, Andy Bull, and number 49, Kieran J. Callanan. There were more artists in there, this is just kind of a sample of how much, but it's pretty good. It's nice to see that there are Australian artists who are not only breaking in overseas, but they're also getting noticed in their own country of origin. The other article was the ARIA's top 100 releases of 2013. There was one for albums, there was one for singles, and there was a decent chunk, I think it was 23 albums and 13 singles by Aussie artists of the top 100. So some of the bands that made it onto this list, which surprisingly were similar bands that made it into Rage's top 50. Coming in at number 11 was Flume's self-titled album. Number 12 was Vance Joy's Riptide single. Number 34, Bliss and Esso with Circus in the Sky. Number 37, Birds of Tokyo with March Fires. Number 39, Matt Corby with Resolution, his single. At number 42, Stafford Brothers with Hello, their single. Number 57, Boy and Bear, Harlequin Dream. Number 58, Justice Crew with their Everybody single. Number 90, Tame Impala with their Lonerism album, which funnily enough was released in 2012, but its sales were so strong in 2013 that it still made the 2013 list. And finally, number 91, carnival with asymmetry. And another article is focused on the South by Southwest Festival, which is in Austin, Texas. It's the biggest music conference in the world. It brings in all kinds of people from the music industry, also from film and from art, where they just put on shows non-stop. The South by Southwest Festival is also known for its Australian presence, which has been growing in the past years. In their announcements before, they announced 12 or then 13 bands. This time, in their most recent announcement, 24 Australian acts were announced to perform at South by Southwest. Some of the newest acts that were included will be Angus and Julia Stone, The Preachers, DZ Death Rays, Miami Horror, Kieran J. Callanan, and The Griswolds. And now going from the biggest music conference in the world to the biggest music festival in the world with Coachella. Coachella released their lineup of acts recently, which included a nice handful of Aussie acts. Coachella is a 3-day music festival that's spread out across 2 weeks in America. The Australian acts that were included are Flume, who's also playing Big Day Out, Jaguar Ma, The Preachers, who are also playing South by Southwest Festival, Empire of the Sun, DJ duo Flight Facilities, and Anna Luno. I hope I pronounced all those right. So of all those bands that I just mentioned, if you haven't heard any, all their links are in the description below. Just go check it out, have a listen, they're fucking great. And also let me know what you think. What do you think about the Melbourne scene? Do you think that there could be a chance it could move here if they had similar problems that Sydney are already working to fix? Or do you think that the Melbourne Council know how important music is to their city and will jump on to enforce proper laws to stop all these noise complaints? And the amount of Australian bands that are getting noticed, it was improving in 2013 and it looks like it's going to be getting even better in 2014. Do you agree with that? Do you think that it is the rise of Australian music again? We're getting noticed overseas, we're going to get noticed locally? Or do you think it's going to be more of a blip on the radar and the bands will just be forgotten and they'll be replaced by whatever top 40 is around? Although before you answer, I want to point out one thing. Top 40, popular acts, all those kind of bands, they've always been around. There's never been a time when good music or alternative music has ever really dominated popular. Popular has always been around since the inception of music, pretty much. But there's always been two sides. There's always been the popular, and then there's also been the alternative. They've always been on different sides. Every so often, the alternative side dies away. That's because it can become commercialized, it can become pop, or the popular side. But it doesn't stop it from changing. It really comes in waves every so often, because the alternative side is the reaction to the popular side. The popular will always exist because that is the industry. The alternative constantly has to evolve because it becomes the popular. It can get transferred to it, it has to change, and in order for it to change, it means it has to go away for a while. Okay, that's my little fun rant. I should save that for a video later on. And band of the week this week, I'm going to pick a alternative rock band who's a bit more on the softer side. They're called The Fines. They only really formed towards the end of 2013. They've already got an EP out. I highly recommend checking them out. They sound really cool. Or you can just wait till the end of this video where a clip of them will be played. And that's it for this week. Oh my god! Hello? Are you in there? I'm sorry. I shouldn't just throw paper willy-nilly. That's dangerous of me. You could have gotten a paper cut. Are you okay? Are you alright? It's okay, just put some, like, tea tree oil on it. It'll be okay. Put a band-aid. I'll be safer with my paper throws in the future. Subscribe to this video, like it, comment on anything. We're on everything. We're on Facebook, we've got our website, we're on Twitter, we're on Tumblr, on YouTube. We do a post on Reddit every week. Share your thoughts and opinions, because once you get more educated people knowing what's going on, you can better discuss anything to fix in the scene, and it will be fixed. So enjoy this week of live music. There's plenty on to check out. All the venues are starting to kick back in after the New Year break. I'll be back next Monday with another update video. Until then, be good.
Come on, come lady, come home. I just lie on